Hello everyone. Welcome back. Today, we've got some crucial news you don't want to miss. Let's dive right into the top financial headlines and break down what's happening. Today, we'll dive deep into a comprehensive analysis of the 2024 US presidential election results. How did Trump make a stunning comeback? What factors contributed to his overwhelming victory? We'll explore the why behind Trump's success, the key moments that shaped his return, and the implications of his victory for both the US and the world. We'll also discuss why the Democratic Party, led by Vice President Kamala Harris, fell short in this election. What went wrong for the Democrats, and how are they reflecting on their defeat? Finally, we'll look at the potential consequences of a second Trump administration, particularly how it might impact countries like Ukraine and China, which stand to be significantly affected by his policies. Trump's historic comeback. According to a comprehensive report from the Wall Street Journal, Trump's victory marked a historic comeback. The headline read, "Trump defeats Harris, marking historic comeback." In the subheading, it noted, Republican former president is first in over a century to reclaim the White House after losing it. Trump's success was largely fueled by his strategic focus on two main issues that resonate deeply with American voters: rising living costs and illegal immigration. These two concerns drove many voters to reject the incumbent administration, which, in their eyes, had failed to address the challenges facing everyday Americans. Key issues that led to Trump's victory. The Wall Street Journal elaborated on the two main issues Trump leveraged to defeat Harris. Inflation. Trump's campaign hammered home the financial struggles of the average American. The soaring cost of living under the Biden-Harris administration became a central theme in his messaging. Trump repeatedly asked voters, "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?" A question that resonated strongly with people dealing with rising costs in housing, groceries, and other essentials. Illegal immigration. Trump's hardline stance on immigration, including his promise to build a stronger border wall, won over voters who felt the current administration's policies were too lenient. Trump's return to the White House marks a profound shift in US priorities and its relationships with the world economy. As the Wall Street Journal highlighted, Trump's victory solidified his place in history, despite the controversy surrounding his baseless election fraud claims. His 2016 win was once considered a fluke, but this time, he proved that his political rise was no accident. A historic election for Trump. In a celebratory speech at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, Trump declared, "This is a great victory for the American people. I thank the voters for sending me back to the White House. I'll fight for every citizen of this country." He promised to continue strengthening the economy and addressing key national priorities, claiming that his second term would usher in America's golden age. Trump's victory came with strong support from rural America, especially in key battleground states like North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. He also garnered significant backing from working-class voters, a demographic that has traditionally leaned Democratic. Harris, who was expected to deliver a concession speech later that day, faced the reality of a bitter loss. At 78 years old, Trump became the oldest elected president in US history, surpassing Joe Biden's age by just a few months. The last president to make a comeback after losing the White House was Grover Cleveland in 1892. Trump's second victory marked his place as only the second president to return to the White House after losing an election. The unprecedented campaign. This election season was unlike any other. Amid a chaotic summer and fall, Trump faced 2 assassination attempts and numerous legal challenges, including federal election interference charges and state-level convictions for tampering with documents related to hush money payments. Despite these challenges, his message resonated with voters, and he secured the win. One of the most effective parts of Trump's campaign was his economic messaging. He framed inflation as the main issue facing Americans, consistently asking voters whether they were better off now compared to 4 years ago. As we discussed on this channel, while inflation may have decreased from its peak, the real impact on Americans has been far more significant. Prices are still much higher than they were prior to the pandemic, especially for housing. Young people are particularly feeling the pressure. High mortgage rates combined with high housing prices have made home ownership a distant dream for many. While Wall Street might cheer a drop in inflation and a potential interest rate cut, the reality for ordinary Americans is much more difficult. The Biden-Harris administration may have claimed victory over inflation, but for many, the cost of living has skyrocketed, up over 40% in just 2 years. This discrepancy between what Wall Street celebrates and what Main Street experiences became a key point of contention in the election. Trump, seizing on this vulnerability, capitalized on the economic frustrations of everyday Americans, and the Democrats underestimated how powerful these concerns would be for voters. Conclusion: why Trump won? In the end, Trump's victory can be attributed to his ability to connect with the struggles of ordinary Americans, particularly around economic hardship and immigration. While Harris and the Democrats focused on their messaging around inflation being under control, they failed to recognize how deeply inflation and rising living costs had impacted people's daily lives. Trump's campaign, by focusing on these issues, proved to be not only a response to voter frustrations but also a winning strategy that ultimately helped him reclaim the White House. Next in today's update, we'll dive into The Economist's coverage of Trump's overwhelming victory in the 2024 US presidential election and the massive shift it represents for American politics. The article sheds light on the dramatic impact of his return to power and examines what this means for the future of the United States and the world. In the West, there's a stark contrast in how success is perceived compared to the East. While Eastern cultures often emphasize humility in victory, the West has a more direct approach: you win, you win. No need for modesty; when you're on top, you're celebrated. Even though The Economist has not been known to support Trump in the past, the tone of their latest article is notably different, reflecting the undeniable power of his triumph. Trump's historic victory. The headline of The Economist read, "Welcome to Trump's world, his sweeping victory will shake up everything." This isn't just a minor win, this is a crushing victory. According to the article, Trump didn't just win, he obliterated the competition. The way the election played out, with swing states like Pennsylvania being predicted to determine the outcome, shows just how decisively Trump won. Even if Harris had managed to secure Pennsylvania, it wouldn't have been enough to turn the tide. This was a victory of such scale that it redefined the concept of political's momentum. In fact, The Economist draws a parallel between Trump and Franklin D. Roosevelt, calling Trump the most influential American president since Roosevelt. This comparison is striking, as Roosevelt is often seen as one of the most transformative leaders in US history. With this win, Trump isn't just another president, he's now cemented as a political force that will shape the future of the nation. A new political era. Trump's victory has ushered in what The Economist describes as a new political era for both the US and the world. The era of Trumpism, with its focus on populist policies, technology-driven change, and media fragmentation, has become a defining characteristic of modern American politics. Under Trump, the line between law and politics has often blurred, with the media and political strategies being more intertwined than ever before. Now, with his second victory, Trump has not only gained the mandate to govern, but he's also in a prime position to seize control of Washington. This is particularly important because, with the Republicans having reclaimed control of the Senate, and possibly the House as well, the path to enacting his agenda has become significantly easier. If the GOP maintains control of both houses of Congress, Trump will face far fewer legislative roadblocks in pushing forward his policies. This near-total Republican sweep in the 2024 election, winning the presidency, Senate, and possibly the House, will give Trump the kind of political dominance that's rare in US history. With a unified party in control of all branches of government, Trump would have the power to push through his legislative priorities with far fewer obstacles. The future of Trumpism. For those who thought Trump's rise was just a passing moment, The Economist offers a sobering reminder: Trumpism is here to stay. In 2016, many of America's allies believed that his presidency was an anomaly. They thought his political style would fade, and that the US would return to a more traditional form of governance. However, after Trump's second win, it's clear that Trumpism is deeply embedded in American political life, and that it will continue to influence the country for years to come. The final paragraph of The Economist's article underscores this point, stating that, unlike in 2016, no one can deny the enduring impact of Trump's political ideology. His second victory has solidified his influence, both domestically and internationally. Whether one likes it or not, the Trump era has officially arrived. Conclusion: is The Economist being overly optimistic? So, the question remains, is The Economist being overly optimistic in its portrayal of Trump's victory, or are they simply acknowledging the reality of the political landscape? Whether you agree with the analysis or not, one thing is certain: Trump's overwhelming win has redefined US politics, and the implications for both America and the world are still unfolding. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think The Economist's assessment is fair? Is Trump truly leading the US into a new era, or is this just another chapter in a polarizing political landscape? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments below. Next, we'll be discussing a key analysis from The Economist on how Trump's victory in the 2024 US presidential election could shape the global economy and international economic order. The article delves into the potential consequences of his economic policies and their long-term effects. As news of Trump's clear win spread, we saw immediate reactions in the financial markets. US stock futures surged, the dollar strengthened, and Treasury yields spiked. These movements reflect two main aspects of Trump's economic policy direction: significant tax cuts and deregulation, both of which are expected to stimulate short-term economic growth. However, there are also concerns about rising inflation and the impact on America's long-term economic power. Tax cuts and economic stimulus. The first and most significant impact of Trump's victory is the anticipation of massive tax cuts. With Republicans gaining a strong foothold in both the Senate and House, there is now a clear path for Trump to extend the 2017 tax cuts, which are set to expire at the end of this year. Furthermore, he has pledged to reduce the corporate tax rate even further, from 21% to 15%. This prospect of lower taxes has already had an immediate effect, with the stock market rising as investors expect companies to benefit from increased profits. However, these tax cuts come with a downside: a growing federal deficit. According to nonpartisan estimates, Trump's tax cuts could increase the deficit to 12% of GDP by 2035. The short-term economic benefits are clear, but the long-term fiscal consequences could strain the US economy, particularly if the country faces rising debt. Tariffs and inflation risks. A second key concern is Trump's stance on tariffs. While raising tariffs is generally seen by economists as a way to increase costs for consumers and drive up inflation, Trump's first term showed that imposing tariffs on China did not immediately trigger widespread inflation. This has led some to question whether the effects of tariffs on consumer prices will play out differently in his second term, especially as global supply chains remain disrupted. Immigration and labor shortages. Trump's immigration policy is another point of contention. While many Americans favor stricter immigration controls, economic experts note that immigration, both legal and illegal, plays a crucial role in supporting industries like agriculture and construction. Tightening immigration restrictions could lead to labor shortages, which in turn might fuel wage inflation, putting further pressure on prices. Cryptocurrency and financial control. One of the more surprising aspects of Trump's policy shift is his positive stance on cryptocurrency. This marks a significant departure from his previous skepticism, and if he continues to embrace digital currencies, it could have a profound impact on the future of the global financial system. In an era where cryptocurrencies are becoming increasingly influential, Trump's support could ensure that the US plays a key role in shaping the future of global finance. If the US does not lead in this space, other countries may step in to dominate the sector. The Federal Reserve and economic stability. Finally, Trump's relationship with the Federal Reserve remains a major point of debate. Throughout his presidency, he was vocal about his desire to influence the Fed's policies. While some argue that his intervention in monetary policy could be beneficial, others worry it could undermine the Fed's independence and destabilize both the US and global economies. There is widespread concern in the economic community that too much interference with the Fed could have negative consequences, as it would disrupt established financial systems and potentially harm global economic stability. Conclusion: uncertainty and opportunities. The Economist concludes that Trump's policies, while offering significant short-term gains, also bring substantial uncertainty. While some sectors will benefit from tax cuts, deregulation, and a more aggressive stance on international trade, others may suffer from the inflationary pressures of higher tariffs, labor shortages, and fiscal imbalances. As always, the world will watch closely to see how Trump's second term plays out and what kind of lasting impact it has on both the US economy and the global economic order. The fourth article to share with you today: many media outlets are dissecting the reasons behind Donald Trump's victory in the 2024 US presidential election, especially since it was far from the close, competitive race that most analysts had predicted. Instead, Trump's victory turned out to be a landslide. How did this happen? After reviewing multiple sources, one analysis from the Financial Times stands out as particularly striking. Their headline says it all: how Trump won in maps and charts. The article emphasizes that Trump not only secured the Electoral College but also won the popular vote, something that was not the case in 2016 when he won the Electoral College but lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton. So, what caused this sweeping victory? Data-driven insights, the key factors behind Trump's win. While many American media outlets point to factors like Trump surviving an assassination attempt or Elon Musk's endorsement, the Financial Times takes a deeper, more data-driven approach to analyze why Trump achieved such an overwhelming win. The article isn't a retrospective explanation, instead, it walks us through specific numbers to show how Trump's support base expanded across the country. 1. Trump's increasing popularity across states. Looking at the vote totals, the Financial Times notes that Trump's support in 2024 increased compared to 2016 and 2020, except in Utah and Washington. In nearly every state, his vote share grew. In other words, more people were backing Trump, and he expanded his support in almost every state. This wasn't just about maintaining loyalty in his traditional strongholds, it was about building new momentum across the board. In addition, key swing states that had previously shown signs of shifting toward Democrats, like Florida and Texas, solidified as strong Republican territories this time around. Florida, which has often been seen as a bellwether state, was particularly significant. Traditionally a swing state, Florida has become increasingly Republican, marking a major shift in the election landscape. 2. Florida as a key indicator. As mentioned in an earlier post from The Economist, a good way to predict the national outcome early on is to watch Florida's results. Florida, being one of the first states to report, offers a clear picture of the election's direction. If Harris trailed Trump by more than 7%, it was seen as an indication that Trump might have a chance to win nationally. However, when Harris lost by 11% in Florida, it was clear that Trump was poised for a dominant victory. The results here acted as a bellwether, signaling the final outcome. 3. Increased support from minority voters. Another crucial factor in Trump's landslide victory was the surge in support from minority voters, particularly African American and Latino voters. According to the Financial Times, this marked a significant shift from 2020. Trump's support among these groups grew considerably, especially among African American men and Latino voters, where his numbers nearly doubled in some areas. This unexpected reversal among traditional Democrat-leaning communities was a key factor in his broader success. 4. Middle-class voters moving toward Trump. One of the most significant shifts in voter behavior was seen in the middle class, with more voters from this group supporting Trump in 2024 compared to previous elections. Polls showed that middle-class voters were more focused on economic issues and immigration reform, which played into Trump's hands. While Harris' campaign focused on attacking Trump over issues like crime and abortion, many middle-class voters prioritized their financial security, making them more receptive to Trump's economic policies. 5. A shift in support among working-class voters. The Wall Street Journal offered a different perspective, focusing on Trump's appeal to working-class voters, especially those without a college degree. Historically, the Democratic Party has been the home of the working class, but in this election, that base largely shifted to Trump. This shift was especially noticeable among white, non-college educated voters, a demographic that overwhelmingly supported Trump. According to exit polling from the Associated Press, Trump saw significant gains among African American and Latino voters, particularly among men. His support among black voters nearly doubled from the 2020 election, while his share of the Latino vote increased by 6%. Moreover, among non-college educated voters, Trump outpaced Harris by 12 percentage points, compared to just 4 points in 2020. 6. Harris struggles among educated voters. While Trump's support among the working class grew, Harris' numbers among college-educated voters declined. In fact, Harris' performance among college-educated voters dropped by 1% compared to Biden's numbers in 2020. This gap between the two candidates, Trump gaining support among the working class while Harris lost ground among educated voters, was a key factor in Trump's overwhelming victory. Conclusion: a lesson for polling and political strategy. The Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times both highlight the same essential point: Trump's victory was rooted in a massive shift in voter support. In 2020, Trump increased his vote total by 11 million compared to 2016. This momentum carried over into 2024, with working-class voters flocking to the Republican Party in unprecedented numbers. This result calls into question the accuracy of pre-election polling and presents a major challenge for future political strategists trying to predict voter behavior. For Trump, The victory is not just a personal win, but a reaffirmation of his broader appeal across diverse voter groups, from the working class to minorities. It signals a major shift in the American political landscape that will have lasting implications for the Republican Party and for US elections moving forward. The fifth article to share with you in a major report today, the Wall Street Journal analyzed the defining characteristics of the 2024 US presidential election. This election cycle has sparked broad discussions, but the Wall Street Journal presents 5 compelling insights into why this race played out as it did. 1. Surge in Republican voter registration. The first major trend identified is the substantial increase in registered Republican voters across the country, providing a solid foundation for Trump's victory. While these numbers were visible before the election, polling organizations largely overlooked this shift. According to the Wall Street Journal, this surge in Republican registrations was a key factor in Trump's success. 2. Strong Republican hold in the Senate. Another striking outcome of the election is the Republican dominance in the Senate. Not only did the GOP perform better than expected, but they are also likely to retain control of the House of Representatives. Other media outlets have emphasized this strong Republican performance, with some calling it one of the most significant aspects of the 2024 election. 3. Increased support from young male voters. One unique aspect of this election was the significant support for Trump among young male voters. This demographic became a core part of Trump's support base. Notably, the Harris campaign noticed this shift and attempted to appeal to young men, but their efforts came only in the final 3 weeks, which was likely too late to make a difference. 4. Declining Democratic advantage in urban areas. Historically, Democrats have had a stronghold in America's largest cities, but this election revealed a weakening of that advantage. The Wall Street Journal notes that support for Trump increased in several major cities, including Atlanta in the swing state of Georgia. This shift underscores a potential trend toward Republican gains in urban areas. 5. Significant gains among non-white voters. Finally, Trump and the GOP made considerable progress with non-white voters, particularly among Hispanic and Latino communities. The Wall Street Journal highlights that the most notable surge in support came from black voters without college degrees, where Trump's popularity saw the largest increase. The sixth article to share with you is the Wall Street Journal recently published an in-depth report on the Democratic Party's reaction to Harris's loss in the 2024 election. The report captures the initial reflections and blame within the party, highlighting a wide-reaching response to this significant defeat. The report notes that Democratic leaders reacted with frustration and disappointment. When asked who was responsible, a senior Democrat said simply, "Everyone." This statement reflects an understanding that the party's loss spanned all levels, making it difficult to assign blame solely to Harris or Biden. In the Wall Street Journal's view, this collective responsibility points to a failure to connect with core voting blocs like the working class, rural communities, and minority groups. Democratic strategist Kofinis described the defeat as a biblical-scale disaster, marking a significant realignment. He argued that the party's progressive elites alienated working and middle-class voters, ignoring their ongoing concerns in favor of attacking Trump's policies. The result, according to Kofinis, is akin to the shift seen with Reagan Democrats, only now, these voters have become Trump Democrats. The report criticizes the Democratic Party for not taking its 2016 loss to Trump seriously. Instead of rethinking their leftward shift, party progressives argued that their 2016 loss was due to not moving far enough left. This approach persisted despite resistance from moderates like Biden. As a result, the party has drifted further left, making it less competitive in critical areas. The Wall Street Journal also attributes some responsibility to Harris herself. She had only been in office for just over 100 days after succeeding Biden, which limited her ability to connect with voters. Additionally, her choice of Tim Walz as a running mate proved problematic. Walz's credibility suffered due to exaggerated claims about his military service and a controversial relationship with Chinese officials, further damaging the campaign. Unlike Trump's running mate, Vance, who emphasized populist themes but avoided such controversies, Walz's missteps may have eroded trust among voters. The report concludes by stressing the need for the Democratic Party to undertake a serious and introspective examination. It questions whether the party should continue moving further left or re-evaluate its direction to broaden its appeal. Without a genuine commitment to self-reflection, the party risks narrowing its support even further, making this a crucial moment for reassessment. The seventh report we share comes from Bloomberg. Elon Musk's $130 million investment in Trump's campaign is already paying dividends. The report, titled "Musk is about to find what $130 million for Trump gets him," highlights how the tech mogul's political influence has rapidly become a powerful asset in Washington. In this analysis, Bloomberg emphasizes Musk's instrumental role in Trump's victory, framing him as a critical supporter who helped secure the election outcome. Musk's growing political clout is evidenced not only by his substantial financial backing but also by his ability to mobilize a robust political network, which has apparently cemented his place as a key ally of the new administration. As a gesture of gratitude, Trump has reportedly offered Musk a special advisory role in a newly formed task force focused on government spending cuts, positioning him to influence policy decisions that could directly benefit his companies, especially Tesla. During a rally, Trump lauded Musk as a super genius and emphasized the importance of protecting such talent, suggesting that Musk's vision aligns with his administration's goals. The financial markets seem to share Trump's enthusiasm, as Tesla's stock surged following the election results, bolstering Musk's net worth significantly. In fact, Musk's gains from the stock spike far exceed his initial $130 million contribution to Trump's campaign, marking a rapid return on investment. Bloomberg suggests that Musk's political gamble has been nothing short of a masterstroke, demonstrating the leverage and influence his wealth affords in shaping America's political landscape. This development not only underscores Musk's shrewd calculation but also signals a new era where influential billionaires like him can increasingly steer policy agendas. Given Musk's ambitious plans across energy, technology, and space exploration, this close alliance with the White House could pave the way for profound changes in U.S. regulatory and economic policies. For Musk, who has often operated outside traditional political circles, this marks the beginning of a new phase in which his business empire and political influence are more intertwined than ever. 8th Reuters published a report today titled "Facing Uncertain Fate Under Trump, Ukraine Appeals to His Strengths." With Trump's victory, new questions emerge for Ukraine's future as the war with Russia nears its third year. Trump has repeatedly signaled a desire to expedite an end to the conflict, often questioning the billions of dollars the U.S. has poured into supporting Ukraine. His win brings fresh doubts about America's future involvement. In a show of diplomacy, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky congratulated Trump, calling his victory impressive, and expressing hope for cooperation in ending Russian aggression. "We look forward to an era of a strong United States under President Trump's decisive leadership," Zelensky stated, adding that Ukraine remains hopeful for continued bipartisan support. Trump's stance on the war, however, raises complex questions. He has previously suggested that Ukraine bears some responsibility for the conflict, a view at odds with long-standing U.S. policy. Many in Kiev and beyond are now wondering whether Trump's approach will lead to a shift in American support, potentially altering the strategic landscape for Ukraine. While the direction Trump might take remains unclear, the implications could be profound. His commitment to reducing overseas spending may signal a pivot in U.S. foreign policy that leaves Ukraine with less support at a critical time. For now, Ukraine can only wait and watch, hoping that American aid and commitment endure across the coming months. Finally, Bloomberg reported on the market's strong reaction to Trump's election victory, noting a historic rally in the S&P 500. As Trump returns to the White House, investors are quickly recalibrating for his administration's potential impact on the markets. The S&P 500 surged over 2%, hitting its 48th record high this year, fueled by expectations that Trump's policies will favor U.S. corporate growth. Smaller stocks also saw a sharp rise, climbing 4.7%, as investors bet that Trump's protectionist stance would benefit domestic companies. Banking stocks gained as well, driven by hopes for tax cuts and regulatory rollbacks. In the broader market, the bond yield climbed as long-term U.S. Treasury yields surged, signaling investor confidence that Trump's policies could lead to increased economic activity and potentially higher rates from the Federation. The VIX, or Fear Index, hit its lowest level since August, indicating reduced market volatility in the wake of Trump's win. The Dow Jones Transportation Average also reached a new high, affirming broader market strength as industrials rallied. Meanwhile, the dollar recorded its best day since 2020, rising against most major currencies, with the euro dropping by 1.9% and the Mexican peso by 1.3%. Bitcoin hit a record high, while commodity markets saw gold and copper prices fall as investors shifted focus. Ryan, a strategist quoted in the report, noted, "The market's enthusiasm is grounded in the certainty that Trump brings, corporate and consumer confidence can stabilize." However, Bloomberg also highlighted potential cautionary signals. While markets celebrated the initial positives of Trump's policies, such as anticipated tax cuts and deregulation, the report warned that traders may be overlooking risks like increasing deficits and potential tariffs, which could impact long-term stability. Moreover, the report mentioned that slow vote counting in California could introduce further uncertainty. If Republicans fail to secure the House, Trump's ability to enact his full agenda could be curtailed, prompting a potential market reassessment. The report concluded with a reminder that while markets seem buoyant today, investor sentiment may shift as the initial euphoria fades and attention turns to the Fed's interest rate announcement expected tomorrow. The Fed's anticipated quarter-point rate cut has already been factored in, so the impact on the markets might be muted. In essence, Bloomberg's analysis offers a balanced view. While the market is riding a wave of optimism, a more sober reassessment may follow as investors weigh the longer-term implications of Trump's policies. That's all for today. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more updates. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.